Have you ever looked at your life and wondered why something you desire so deeply feels delayed, blocked, or simply out of reach? Have you ever asked why other people seem to receive what you are praying for while your path keeps asking you to wait and carry a pain that nobody fully understands? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about childlessness through a spiritual and karmic lens. But we are going to do it with tenderness, realism, and respect. This topic can touch grief, identity, family pressure, medical complexity, and deep existential questions. So I want to hold to guiding ideas from the beginning. First, childlessness is not automatically a punishment, a curse, or a sign of unworthiness. Many factors can be involved, and spiritual meaning should never be used to shame someone or to deny real-life medical realities. Second, if you choose to explore spiritual meaning, the healthiest approach is to ask what this season is teaching you about compassion, humility, surrender, purpose, and the kind of love that is bigger than one role. Because wisdom is not found by forcing an outcome, but by becoming awake inside whatever life is asking you to carry. Let me begin with a story, because stories allow you to breathe with the subject instead of being crushed by it. Imagine a person named Leona. Leona always imagined being a mother, not as a fantasy, as a quiet certainty. When she was young, she babysat neighbors. She held babies easily. She talked about future names. She pictured family gatherings where her child would run into her arms. She did not need perfection. She wanted the simple, ordinary miracle of raising a life. Leona marries someone named Daniel. Daniel also wants children. They talk about it early. They plan. They save money. They build a home that has an extra room. They imagine their future. Then time passes. Month after month, nothing happens. At first, Leona stays optimistic. She says it will happen. Then years pass. Doctor visits, tests, hormone treatments, scheduling intimacy like a task. Tears in the bathroom, smiling at baby showers while feeling hollow, listening to relatives ask questions that cut without intending to. Leona begins to feel like her body betrayed her. She begins to feel like she is failing at something that is supposed to be natural. She begins to feel ashamed even though she knows shame makes no sense. She begins to feel angry at God and then guilty for feeling angry. She begins to feel jealous and then ashamed for jealousy. She begins to feel grief that is hard to name because there is no funeral for a dream that never arrived. One night, Leona sits on the kitchen floor and whispers a sentence that many people never say out loud because it feels dangerous. Why is this happening to me? That question is the doorway to today's talk. When people ask about metaphysical or karmic reasons for childlessness, they are often not looking for a mystical explanation that erases pain. They are looking for meaning that makes pain bearable. They want to know that their suffering is not pointless. They want to know that their life can still be sacred. So let us talk about meaning carefully. The first spiritual truth is that meaning is not the same as blame. Meaning does not mean you caused this through bad energy. Meaning does not mean you are being punished. Meaning is simply the possibility that even in hardship, life can shape you into deeper wisdom and compassion, and you can still build a purposeful life. Now I want to name something important before we go further. If you are experiencing infertility or childlessness, medical support and emotional support matter. Spiritual reflection should not replace healthcare, and it should not replace grief support. A spiritual lens is only helpful if it increases compassion, clarity, and peace, not if it increases guilt, fear, or self-hatred. With that said, let us explore the ways people experience spiritual themes around childlessness, through Leona and Daniel, and through patterns you might recognize. Leona begins exploring many stories people tell. Some friends tell her it is destiny. Some tell her she must be patient. Some tell her to relax. Some tell her to manifest. Some tell her to pray harder. Some tell her to accept. Most of those words feel like noise, because when you are grieving, Advice often sounds like dismissal. Leona does not need slogans. She needs presence. She needs permission to be human. So Daniel decides to be present. He stops trying to fix her feelings. He sits beside her and says, "I do not know why this is happening, but I am here. We will walk through this together. You are not alone." That sentence does not remove grief, but it removes isolation. And isolation is one of the most painful parts of childlessness. People often feel alone even in marriage, because partners grieve differently. One might become practical, the other emotional. One might avoid talking, the other might need to talk. Without awareness, childlessness can become a silent wedge. So a first karmic theme can be relationship awakening. Not because childlessness is given to test you like a cruel experiment, but because hardship reveals the emotional skills of a partnership. It reveals whether you can communicate, whether you can hold each other without blame, whether you can grieve together without turning grief into war. Leona and Daniel begin arguing at first. Leona blames herself. Daniel tries to stay optimistic. Leona hears optimism as invalidation. Daniel hears Leona's sadness as hopelessness. They get stuck. Then they do something wise. They learn to name grief rather than fight it. They learn to say, "I am scared. I am angry. I am tired. I feel envy. I feel shame. I feel numb." They stop making each other responsible for fixing the emotions. They start witnessing each other. This is spiritual practice, not in a dramatic way, in a human way. Now, another karmic theme can be identity transformation. Many people grow up believing that adulthood has a certain script. You grow up, you marry, you have children. When the script breaks, you face a terrifying question. Who am I if I do not become what I planned? Leona realizes that she has been treating motherhood as proof of worth. She did not know she was doing it, but she notices how deeply her self-esteem is tied to this dream. She thinks, if I do not have a child, what am I? What is my purpose? What is my value? This is not a shallow question. It is existential. And this is where spiritual meaning can become medicine. Aid Eper spiritual view says, your value is not assigned by one role. Your soul is not reduced to one outcome. Your life can be meaningful in many forms. Love can be expressed in many directions. Nurturing can take many shapes. Leona does not accept this immediately, because grief does not accept new philosophy right away. But slowly, she begins to see that her capacity to love is not limited to biological motherhood. She begins to notice that she has been nurturing people her whole life. She mentors younger colleagues. She cares for her elderly aunt. She supports friends in crisis. She creates a warm home for those who visit. She teaches. She listens. She holds space. She realizes something quiet and powerful. The mother energy is already in her. The question is how it wants to express itself in this lifetime. This can be a karmic doorway, not because it replaces the desire for a child, but because it prevents the desire from becoming a prison. Now, another theme people talk about is timing and surrender. Many spiritual paths teach that clinging creates suffering. Clinging is when you say, I cannot be okay until this happens. That clinging makes every month feel like failure. It makes your whole life feel like waiting room pain. Leona begins to see that she has been living in the future. She has been postponing joy until she becomes a mother. She has been postponing travel, hobbies, friendships, even intimacy, because everything is oriented around the goal. The goal is not wrong. The clinging is what hurts. So she practices a different approach. She says, I can still desire, and I can also live. This is not giving up. This is refusing to let hope become self-torture. In many wisdom traditions, surrender does not mean you stop trying. It means you stop turning your whole identity into the outcome. You do what is wise, and you release the rest. This is the only way to maintain peace while living with uncertainty. So Leona and Daniel continue medical exploration. but they also return to life. They go on small trips. They invest in friendships. They restore romance. They laugh again. Not because they forgot grief, but because grief is not the only truth in their home. Now, another karmic theme is humility and compassion. People who have not walked this path sometimes say careless things. They say, just adopt, as if adoption is simple. They say, just relax, as if relaxation cures complex biology. They say, you can always try again, as if time is endless. They say, maybe it is not meant, as if that sentence makes grief smaller. Leona used to be someone who tried to understand everyone. Now she understands something deeper. She understands invisible pain. She becomes gentler. She becomes less judgmental. She begins noticing how many people carry hidden burdens. Miscarriage, infertility, illness, depression, family trauma, financial stress. She realizes that the person smiling next to you might be barely holding it together. Her suffering grows compassion. Not the kind of compassion that is sentimental. The kind that is wise, because it knows life is complex. This is a spiritual gift that can arise from hardship. But again, we must be careful. A gift does not justify the pain. A gift is simply what can grow from it. Now, let us address one of the most difficult spiritual questions people ask. Is childlessness karmic debt from a past life? This is a question many people ask. I cannot prove past lives. Nobody can prove them in a way that removes all doubt. But I can talk about the usefulness of the belief. If the belief makes you feel ashamed or cursed, it is harmful. If the belief makes you become kinder, more ethical, more compassionate, more awake, and helps you accept what is beyond your control, it may be useful as a framework. A wise way to interpret karma is not punishment. Karma is cause and effect. It is the way choices create consequences. In that sense, the only karma you can truly work with is the karma you are creating today. So if you are in a season of childlessness, the karmic question becomes, what karma do I want to plant now? Do I plant bitterness? Do I plant blame? Do I plant isolation? Or do I plant compassion, service, and inner stability? Planting compassion does not erase grief. It simply prevents grief from becoming poison. Leona chooses to plant compassion in one small way. She begins volunteering once a week at a community center. At first, she is afraid. Being around children hurts. But she realizes something. She does not have to avoid children to heal. She has to avoid pretending she is not grieving. So she shows up with honesty. Some days she cries after volunteering. But she also feels something else. Her heart is still capable of giving love. That matters. It keeps her from turning into stone. Now, another karmic theme can be breaking generational pattern. Sometimes people carry family trauma connected to parenting. Maybe your parents were controlling. Maybe your home was unstable. Maybe you experienced neglect. Some people unconsciously fear becoming a parent because they fear repeating harm. They may desperately want a child, and also carry deep fear of parenting. Childlessness can force you to confront these fears and heal them, regardless of whether you become a parent later. Because healing generational trauma is always valuable. It cleans karma for the whole family line. Leona realizes she had unresolved fear about motherhood. She wanted it, but she also feared losing herself. She feared repeating her mother's emotional coldness. She feared being overwhelmed. She feared failing. When she finally speaks these fears, she feels relief. She begins therapy. She begins healing childhood wounds. She becomes more emotionally mature. Then she realizes something that surprises her. Even if she never has a child, healing these wounds is still a sacred accomplishment. It changes her relationships. It changes her marriage. It changes her future. This is another way karma can transform. Not by giving you everything you want, but by changing who you become. Now, let us talk about adoption. Fostering. and alternative paths, but with respect. For some people, adoption becomes a beautiful path. For others, it is not possible or not desired. For some, fostering becomes a calling. For others, it is too emotionally difficult. For some, child-free life becomes a chosen path after grief. For others, they keep trying. There is no single correct answer. The spiritual question is not which path is superior. The spiritual question is which path is true for you, and how you can walk it with integrity and compassion. Leona and Daniel eventually explore adoption. They attend information session. They learn about trauma-informed parenting. They learn about the realities. It is not a quick fix. It is a complex commitment. They feel both hope and fear. They also explore the possibility that they may remain without children. And they let themselves speak the truth. That possibility hurts, but naming it reduces its power. Denial keeps fear alive. Acceptance allows peace to grow. Now I want to speak directly to anyone listening who feels ashamed. Shame is a thief. Shame steals your right to grieve openly. Shame steals your right to ask for support. Shame steals your ability to receive comfort. Shame tells you that you are defective. That is a lie. You are not defective. You are not punished. You are not less of a person. You are not less of a partner. You are not less of a woman or a man. You are not less of a soul. Grief is not evidence of weakness. Grief is evidence of love. Now, let us talk about the pressure from society and family. Because for many people, that is the hardest part. In some cultures, marriage without children becomes a target for gossip. People ask invasive questions. People give unsolicited advice. People suggest spiritual remedies. People blame the woman. People act like the couple's life is incomplete. This pressure can be brutal. Leona learns to set boundaries. She practices simple sentences. We are handling this privately. Thank you for your concern. We will share when we are ready. Please do not ask again. At first she feels guilty setting boundaries. Then she realizes boundaries are not cruelty. Boundaries are self-respect. Boundaries protect your nervous system. Boundaries prevent other people from making your pain into entertainment. This is another karmic lesson. Learning to protect yourself with calm firmness. Now, another spiritual theme is gratitude without denial. Some people think if you are grieving, you cannot be grateful. That is false. You can be grateful for parts of your life and still grieve deeply. Gratitude is not a replacement for grief. Gratitude is a companion that prevents grief from turning into total darkness. Leona practices gratitude in a realistic way. She does not force positivity. She simply notices small truths. I am grateful my husband is kind. I am grateful I have friends. I am grateful I have a home. I am grateful my body still carries me through the day. I am grateful I can still laugh sometimes. This is not denial. This is balance. Now, let us return to the question. Why might God allow feelings of longing to remain while the outcome stays uncertain? This is similar to a theme we explored before. Longing can remain because longing is part of love. But longing can also teach you to live with an open hand, to love without gripping, to desire without becoming desperate. If life gives you everything quickly, you may never learn patience. If life gives you everything easily, you may never learn humility. If life never breaks your plans, you may never learn surrender. Again, this does not justify pain. It simply offers a path to meaning. Leona begins to find meaning in service. She begins to support other women who are struggling. She joins a support group. She becomes a voice that says, "You are not alone." She becomes the person she once needed. This is spiritual transformation. Now, let us address the fear that many couples carry. What if childlessness ruins our marriage? Hardship can either break a marriage or deepen it, depending on the skills of the couple. If partners blame each other, the bond fractures. If partners avoid the topic, distance grows. If partners grieve differently and judge each other, Resentment builds. If partners communicate and stay tender, love deepens. Leona and Daniel learn to honor differences in grieving. Leona cries openly. Daniel becomes quiet. Leona used to interpret Daniel's quiet as not caring. Daniel used to interpret Leona's tears as overwhelming. Now they understand. Daniel learns to hold her without fixing. Leona learns to let him grieve in his own way. They create rituals. A monthly date that is not about fertility. A weekly walk. A moment of prayer where they say, "Help us stay kind." A shared practice of naming one feeling each day. These small practices protect love. Now, one more story moment, because I want to give you a scene that can stay with you. Years later, Leona sits in a park. She watches children play. She feels a familiar ache. The ache never fully disappears, but it is softer now. It is not a knife. It is a tender scar. Beside her is Daniel. They hold hands. They have built a life that is meaningful. They have nieces and nephews they adore. They mentor younger people. They travel. They serve their community. Their home is warm. Their marriage is deep. They did not get every outcome they wanted, but they did not lose their soul. Leona whispers to Daniel, "I used to think my life would not be whole without a child. I still wish. I still ache. But I also see that life has been asking me to love in a bigger way. I did not choose this path, but I can choose how I walk it." Daniel squeezes her hand and says, "We are still a family. We are still love." This is the spiritual heart of the topic. Childlessness may be a grief. It may be a mystery. It may be a season. It may be a lifelong reality. But it does not cancel your worth. It does not cancel love. It does not cancel purpose. If you are in this path, the invitation is not to pretend it is easy. The invitation is to grieve honestly. Seek support. Set boundaries. Stay compassionate. And remember that your destiny is not one role. Your destiny is the kind of person you become. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Share your story in the comments in your own words if you feel safe too. What has this season taught you? What support helped you? What boundary protected you? What act of compassion kept your heart soft? If you want more long-form talks about karma, destiny, grief, wisdom, compassion, and how to live a meaningful life even when the script breaks, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment so this community can keep growing. And if you want to support the work even more, consider joining as a member. Until next time, keep your heart soft, keep your boundaries strong, and remember that even in unanswered seasons, you can still live with dignity, love, and awakened compassion.